I like kimchi, that spicy pickled cabbage stuff out of Korea. And today we have a car that's also a little bit weird, a little bit of acquired taste like kimchi, comes from Korea as well. But I also think for many people, it's going to be a really good choice. So why do I say an acquired taste? Well, for a start, there's the brand, KGM. Have you heard of that before? It's new. It was previously known as Ssangyong, but they've been through a few business troubles, so they've decided they've got a new owner, time to rename, time for a fresh start. And this is the first car of their fresh start. Now, it was actually developed under the old Ssangyong management, but I actually think they've done a really good job at giving us something to go forward with. Now, it's a really unique look. It's a kind of medium-sized family SUV, but they've given it a really big, boxy, aggressive look to it. You know, we've got this kind of weird studded front here that kind of hints at the bars on Jeeps and other kind of off-roady vehicles. Interesting little pattern panels around here and light structures, which I understand actually are nods to the Korean flag. So they're really waving the fact they're Korean there out quite broadly, along with up the top of the bonnet. Now, there's no frink in here, boo, but we'll get to other storage things. There's plenty of it around the place. These handles are cosmetic. Don't go tying things down to them. Don't go use them to grab up and stand on the thing. I suspect they will rip off. And I have told the guys at KGM Mobility New Zealand that they need to put a little sticker on here saying cosmetic only. Now, we have these great big design wheels here. They are 20-inch wheels. 20-inch wheels on a car of this size is pretty sizable. You know, we're talking something here that's about the size of a RAV4. I don't believe you get wheels that big on those cars, and I like the design there. Big, chunky, really stand out. We have here the CCS2 charging port. The DC charging speed is impressive at 145 kilowatt, while AC is 11 kilowatt. But the battery is impressive. We'll talk a bit more about it later, but it's a 73.4 kilowatt hour unit, and it comes from BYD. So this is probably the second biggest BYD blade battery you can get in New Zealand, the biggest one being at the moment in the BYD seal. So if we come down the side, we have these big chunky mirrors with repeater lights on them, proper door handles, thank you. We have buttons for the keyless central locking on the passenger side as well. Remember, I complained about that with the Volvo EX30. Nice big body cladding, and you've actually got a reasonable amount of ground clearance under there. I think it's about 175 millimeters. Now, these are only two-wheel drive and electric form at this stage, but they do look like they could actually go somewhere, like they could go a little bit off-road. Now, tinted windows, there's only one specs, they've all got this, and this weird kind of stepping roofline, but I think it actually has a unique look to it, and also it means a lot of headroom inside, and we'll go have a look there later. You've got functional roof rails, this big chunky panel here coming around into wraparound glass at the back. Now, if we head round to the back, this gets a bit where we get into acquired taste territory. This plastic cover is what on traditional SUVs, older SUVs, you'd have a spare tyre underneath, but there isn't one. There isn't a spare tyre at all. It's a repair kit. So it's just kind of designed to look like that. And if I move around, and it gets a little bit weirder as well, this handle here would suggest to you that this is a side opening door. Again, like the big chunky SUVs of the past. And they sell a few of these under different brands as well. But in this one, pop the button, and it's actually upwards lifting. So that's a little odd. The boot is huge. With the seats up, it's 700 litres. This is the first electric vehicle in this kind of class with a chance of rivaling the Tesla Model Y for load space. So you got all that space there. If you put those seats down, you get over 1,600 litres. You've got more storage underneath. And another handy little tidbit, and that is a included free vehicle to load adapter. So you can run appliances off this car when you're out camping, doing all those lovely, healthy lifestyle things that car companies imply you should when you have got a car like this. Right, that's the outside of the KGM Torres EVX. That's a long name. Let's go have a look at the interior. Now, the first thing I'll say is getting in and out of this car is actually really easy. Obviously, with an SUV, you've got quite a nice hip height. The seats all seem really well set up for access. And the doors, they all open to quite a wide opening, nearly 90 degrees. So that's super helpful, particularly if you've got kids and you're loading car seats and that kind of thing in the back. Now, in the front of the car, it's really modern and nice, and it looks great on first presentation. There's a few hints to, as we mentioned here in the back seat, the front screens. The designer here looks very Kia. Clearly, they've had a look at the gauges and that on that and taken some influence. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Kia's taking influence from KGM. Who knows? But other than that, it does look really modern and really smart. Lots of nice, brown stitching and brown finishes here. There's ambient lighting around the place, triangular vents, all pretty cool. Lots of storage down here. You've got 2 more USB-C ports, bit of a storage cubby here, cup holders, big storage in the armrest, and a great little hole there for your phone, a charger there for your phone as well. You've got a transmission shifter here, which looks like it's taken some influence from the Volkswagen Group 1. It's okay, but it feels a bit unresponsive, and sometimes I find myself having to pull on it twice to get a reaction. I think maybe that's just getting myself down to the order of how things work. The steering wheel, I love the steering wheel, bit of a flat bottom again. You got the brown stitching, a lot of little buttons, but they seem to work okay. I'm still learning my way around them. And while there is some piano black, it's not in places where it's likely to get damaged too much. Now, one thing I will say, and I think it is the biggest negative that I've so far found in this car, is some of the materials are a bit mixed. Some of these door plastics, they just feel, that's soft and padded, but some of them just feel a bit plasticky, just not quite as solid feeling as I'd like. They don't feel too cheap. I just would feel like there was something more behind them. But they do look good. It does work pretty darn well, and it is really comfortable. These front seats are cooled and really comfortable. They are electric for both the driver and the passenger. Again, a really nice touch at this price point. Visibility is excellent. You can see right around in this car. It does have that slightly steep nose, which maybe just gives you a little bit of a visibility issue just off the tip of it. But to be honest, it's not that bad. And you do have a 360-degree camera system, a really good one, as standard as part of this infotainment system. Now, there is a start button down here. And another interesting thing, which perhaps shows that this is a little bit legacy, and there is a petrol car and there are other versions of this car, is it has this really chunky key with a blade to it. And there isn't really anywhere you're going to use it, but interesting to see that that's still there. Perhaps you can use it more as a self-defense weapon as actually a car key. Right, now let's go somewhere that I've pretty much never gone before in one of our review videos. So back here is one of the big, I think, selling features of the Torres EV. It's big, it's a sizable vehicle. And, on this channel, this is a bit of a first. You never normally see me in the back of a car, but I'm pretty comfortable back here, despite the fact that this isn't some big, giant luxury vehicle. Let's start littler at the top. That high roof that looks a bit weird outside. In here, so much headroom. I could be wearing a giant hat and still be comfortable. Now, this headrest is a little bit interesting. This is a design that's familiar to Kias, and this is a little thing here that you can put I think you can hang a jacket off it, potentially you can put a iPad on it, maybe. There's some little rubber things there to stop. It's a pretty cool little feature. We have big pocket at the door, a bit of a phone holder or a smaller holder down there. We have 2 USB-C ports down here. They are a quicker charge one at 27 watts. That's pretty good. We have vents for rear seat passengers. Nice big armrest with a couple of cup holders. Now, the doors themselves are nicely sculpted to give you arm room. There's a big bottle pocket, bottle holder and pocket down here. Some interesting textures. And something that's really nice, you have heated seats, 2 heat levels. That's plush. It's something we haven't seen in this part of the market yet or for a while. And the seat itself, it's a really nice, comfortable angle. Plenty of room under the seat in front for my feet. There is a drivetrain hub. Now, you can get this car in petrol version, so that's why that's there. Not great to see, but hey, at least they've done an electric version. There's another little interesting thing here too. There are buttons on the side of the seat here, so that if you are in the back, there's no one in the front, you can slide that seat forward to give yourself more space. Now, that's actually relatively common on medium to large Korean vehicles, and I think it's around the thing that in some Asian countries, it's a bit more prestigious to be in the back of a vehicle, and the KGM Torres EV is no exception to that setup. Now, let's take it for a drive. Right, so we've magically moved ourselves from the city centre into State Highway 1, which is probably where this car is, I think, at its best. It is a really nice, long-legged cruiser. The ride is really good. It's not soft. There is a little bit of body roll. It's just comfortable, but the car drives nice and flat. The steering, I think, would be nice if it was a little bit quicker. It does take a little bit of effort, turn to turn, but I think that's kind of what you expect in a family SUV like this. Now, the performance is actually really solid despite some moderate numbers. So 0 to 100 is 8.1 seconds. The power output from the motor, it's a front-wheel drive system, is 150 kilowatts and 339 newton meters. Now, that's about the same as, say, a BYD 803, which is a smaller, lighter vehicle. But look, it feels enough. Round town feels lovely and zippy. Out on the open road here, look, there's plenty of power for overtaking. Pretty darn good. It can tow 1,500 kilograms, so that's definitely a step above the kind of entry-level market. The WLTP range of the Torres is 462 kilometers, and we think it's easily good for that around town, probably around the 400 mark on the open road. Now, road noise-wise, it isn't the quietest of cars. There is a little bit that does come through from the tyres out on these surfaces, and I found we were running a little bit of headwind yesterday on the motorway, that we were getting quite a bit of wind noise, I suspect from those handles at the front, or just maybe the boxy shape of the car. Still, it's reasonably refined. I think perhaps, as I said, some of these plastics, these harder plastics, don't help necessarily having the best interior quietness levels, but they're not too bad. Now, what does annoy me with quietness levels is the beeping. The vehicle assistance features in this car aren't bad. I actually found the lane keeping pretty good, and interestingly, you could push a button and have it on when you're not on adaptive cruise control, which I actually found pretty useful to have the steering assisted but still be able to moderate my own throttle. There's lane keep, blind spot, all that kind of stuff. All the stuff you'll need to get a 5-star NCAP rating. They don't have one yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if one's on the way. Now, the downside to the system is that there are a couple of glitches here. The driver awareness system loves having a good beep, and really you barely need to look away for more than a second. In fact, I'm slightly worried it's going to go off when I look at the camera before it starts squealing at you. And unlike most cars at this stage, there is no way to turn it off in the vehicle system, even if it's turn it off every time you drive the car. I'm hoping there's a software fix coming for that, because otherwise I actually didn't mind the driver assistance features in this car. Particularly adaptive cruise, they work really well. 5 stages of closeness to the car in front as opposed to normally there being 3. You vary the regen in this car in a really simple way. It's got paddles. Now, I know we've seen that before on other cars. It's not new, but nice to see that come into a relatively entry-level electric vehicle. And super handy having that ability to just grind it down. Though I would like maybe the lowest regen to be a little bit more regen-y, just to account for the fact that there's actually no one-pedal drive on this car. So arguably you could make the lowest regen your default one-pedal drive, but it's just not there. Now, the software running on these 2 big screens is interesting in that it looks like either they've done a deal with Kia, and I can't find anything online, or they've certainly gone and been influenced by Kia's software. It looks very, very similar. But it works okay. There's lots of great features in this system for the climate control, and you got plenty of setting change for those driver assistance features other than the one that we want. They've got a pet setting for the air conditioning, so you can set the car like a Tesla to keep the air conditioning on while you're out of the car if you want to keep your pets in the car. I don't recommend that, but maybe if you want to keep your beers cold, that could be a good option. There's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but Apple CarPlay is wired, and I think that overall, while it does feel, as I mentioned before, perhaps a little bit cheap in spots, it actually gives a far better impression in the real world, in usage and in comfort. I'm all around getting a little bit captivated by this KGM Torres EVX. So the KGM Torres EVX, what do I think about it? Well, I think it's really good. Now, it's not perfect. There's some build materials in there that I think just feel a little bit cheap. The dynamics are pretty good. They're pretty darn close. And I think the styling, as I said, some people are going to like it. Some people are going to find it a bit of an acquired taste. But there's a kicker in this, which means you really should put this car on your shopping list. And that's the price. Now, for early people to get into this car, it's only got, I think the first 40, it's only going to be $66,990. So this is really the first car that can challenge the Tesla Model Y for the value crown in the medium SUV space. And it's also pretty darn good value against some hybrids and petrol vehicles out there. And if you do the maths even further and look at the battery size to price, it's about $912 per kilowatt hour of battery. That is, if you exclude, say, specials on some really small electric vehicles out there, one of the best prices in the market for a battery in any electric vehicle. So I really think you should consider this. Once you get over some of those material choices, it is a really solid electric vehicle. Now, the standard price is only $1,000 more, so it's even still good value at that price. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you again soon for more great content on EVs and beyond.